So we'll start back on page 83 with part C with parallelograms. So again, we're trying to find the area and the perimeter. With a parallelogram, if this side's 12 inches, then this side is 12 inches. And if this side's 9 inches, then this side is 9 inches. So perimeter means we add up the distance around the outside. So if we pick a corner and start walking, we'd walk this side, which is 12 inches. And then this side, which is 9 inches, and then this side, which is 12 inches, and then finally that side, which is 9 inches. So if we add those up, the perimeter is equal to 42 inches. So now let's talk about the area. The area for a parallelogram is base times height. So to find base and height, we need to look for a right angle. That tells us that we're looking at a base and a height. The base is on the outside edge of the figure, the parallelogram, so 12 inches is our base. And the height is the measurement that makes the right angle, so this 8 inches is the height. So 12 times 8 is 96 square inches. Again, remember, area is always measured in square inches. So here's another parallelogram. If this side's 24 centimeters, then this side right here is 24 centimeters. If this side's 18 centimeters, this side's 18 centimeters. So again, if we're walking the perimeter, it would be this side, and then this side, and then this side, and this side. The dashed lines are not part of the shape, they're just there to show you some markings. So for perimeter, we would take 18 plus 24 plus 18 plus 24. We would get 84 centimeters. So area is base times height, so we need to look for a right angle. So here's our right angle. We need to look at the two measurements that are connected by that right angle. So if we follow this side over, we get this side of 18. That's our base of our parallelogram. And if we follow this side up, we get the height of our parallelogram. It's the distance from this side and its side opposite, the parallel side. So it's 20 centimeters for our height. So 18 times 20 gives us 360 square centimeters. The area of a trapezoid is a little bit like base times height. We've got a base, we'll talk about that in a second, times a height. But the base is a little bit different with a trapezoid because there's not just one base, there's two bases, and they're actually different lengths. So what we do is we find the average of those two bases. So we'll add up the two bases, and then because there's two of them, we divide by 2. So base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2, and then times the height. Base 1 and base 2 are the two parallel sides, and the height, h is the height, and again it's always shown by a right angle, the distance between those two bases. We're looking for that right angle. So in example 4a, we find the two sides that are parallel. So here's a parallel side, here's the other parallel side. Those two are parallel, so those are the two bases. So we'll have 7 plus 19, and we're going to divide them by 2. And then the distance in between them shown by that right angle is 6. So we're going to multiply by 6. So 7 plus 19 first is 26 divided by 2. And then we'll multiply by 6 in a minute. So 26 divided by 2 is 13. And 13 times 6 is 78. So our area, that's what we were finding right now, our area is 78 square inches. Now it also asks for the perimeter. The perimeter still just walks around the outside edge. So we'd have 7 plus 9 plus 19 plus 8. So we get the perimeter is 43 inches. And it's a good idea to write P equals for perimeter and A equals for area, or write out the word perimeter and area so you keep track of what you're finding. So here's another example. Again, we need to start by finding the two sides that are parallel. So that's 7 and 14. So we'd start by adding those two and dividing by 2. And then the height is the distance between them, and we can see that by the right angles here. So the distance between those two is 11. So 7 plus 14 is 21. 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. And then 10.5 times 11 is 115.5 square inches. The perimeter is the distance around the outside edge again. So perimeter would be 7 plus 13 plus 14 plus 11. Which is 45 inches. Example 5 says a sheet metal worker is building a heating duct that needs to have the same area as an 8-inch by 9-inch rectangular opening. His rectangle needs to be 6 inches wide, and we need to find the length. So let's start by looking at this right here. We know we need the same area as that. We know it's also a rectangle, so the area is base times height. So we have 8 times 9 gives us 72 square inches. We know he has a rectangle that needs to be 6 inches wide. So we can use base times height again, or length times width, it doesn't matter. We know that one of those measurements needs to be 6 inches. We don't know the other one. But we know it needs to have the same area as this one. So we can use that area in our equation over here. And then we'll divide both sides by 6. And we get x is 12. So it needs to be 12 inches for the length. Example 6 says find the length of a side of a square whose area is given. So we know that in a square the sides are the same. So if I have a square and this side's x, this side has to be x also. So x times x has to be 144, or we could say x squared is equal to 144. In order to get rid of that squared, we have to use a square root. And that cancels that out over here. That gives me x. And you can type in the square root of 144 into your calculator, and you get 12 inches for the side. We'll do another one of those now. This time our area needs to be 927 inches squared. So we have x times x is equal to 927, or x squared is equal to 927. We'll take the square root of both sides. And we get 30.44667, and it keeps going. The directions say round to the nearest tenth, so that's this spot right here. This 4 after it tells us to leave the 4 of 4, because the 4 after it's 5 or lower. So our final answer would be 30.4 inches.